Warning: this video is entirely my own opinion. Please do not regard this video as me encouraging or discouraging people from playing these games. This video reviews my own experiences, including visuals and audio that I do not own. I provided my own footage and edited my own video. If you do not want to be spoiled and cannot handle swearing or blood, this video is not for you. Please be advised. I cannot believe what I just got myself into. Assassin's Creed, one of the most celebrated and well-known franchises of the 7th and 8th generation console era, sporting not just one, not two, but fucking 22 sequels and spin-offs as of 2020. Not to mention a movie, multiple short films, books, and a fucking board game. Never mind all the extra stuff though, because today we're going to be focusing on only one thing, and that's the second main installment of this video game franchise, Assassin's Creed 2. Now, if you haven't seen my video on Assassin's Creed 1, I would highly recommend you check it out on my channel. You can find a link in the description, but if you have seen my previous review, you can remember that this game has left a pretty bad taste in my mouth. Many first installments of games usually go off of some, if not one, fun and simple ideas. This idea revolves around acquiring information by threatening people and eavesdropping, leaping from the rooftops, and assassinating high-priority targets. While that might sound fun and interesting on paper, Assassin's Creed 1 fails to maintain its energy by the time you reach 3 hours of gameplay, and from then on it becomes monotonous. My hopes for Assassin's Creed 2 involve developing new ways to spice up the gameplay by adding variation to gathering information and taking down your targets. Another thing that I hope to see being improved is the combat mechanics. While the combat in Assassin's Creed 1 was what I described as brain numbing and involves a lot of button mashing, I can say that I exaggerated this description. Eventually the game adds new and more potent kinds of enemies that require more from you than simply mashing the attack button. Still, because you become stronger later in the game, you end up beating them by simply mashing the attack button. I hope the developers of the game realized this and decided to put more of an incentive for me to be more engaged with the combat mechanics. Before we begin, I need to add that every Assassin's Creed game I will be playing after Assassin's Creed 1 requires me to have a Ubisoft Connect on my fucking computer. Why is that? Are you trying to mine my GPU for Bitcoin? Anyway, without further ado, let's get started. From where we last left off, Desmond, a washed up crack addict ex-assassin, was captured by a fat fucking greedy ass company called Abstergo, and was coerced by an old piece of shit in his lab assistant to be put in a machine called the Animus. The Animus reads your DNA and revisits the memories of your ancestors. It turns out that hidden within the memories of one of your ancestors, Altair, lies the location of an ancient relic called a Piece of Eden, an artifact that can allow you to master illusions and possibly control the world. Not only does it reveal the location of one piece of Eden, but they also found a map where Abstergo can find all the other pieces of Eden too. And while that investigation was going on, apparently other assassins were on a mission to break you out of there, which failed immediately. Once Abstergo found what they were looking for, the lab assistant somehow found a reason as to why they should keep you alive. After Rick and Morty leave the fucking room, you go back to where you were sleeping and it turns out that some weird ass ghost was shooting bloody ectonut all over the place. Not even a minute into the game, you can already see how the graphics have improved. This game does not skip a beat as it throws you right back into where you last left off. You got Lucy telling you to get back into the Animus right after doing something she probably shouldn't have.
Hurry up, Desmond. We're running out of time.
I'm kinda sleepy, bro. You witness some woman giving birth.
Di nuovo.
Bro, I don't want to do this. And boy, let me tell you, judging from this first scene alone, I can tell this new main character is going to be some fire. Ooh! Oh! Bruh! You can throw this boy, you can throw hands, bro. Lucy prompts you to follow her out of the building where you've been held captive for who knows how long, and already you're getting a bit more characterization from Desmond. And he's one of these on the personality scale. Throughout the beginning segment of the game, Desmond gives off a class clown kind of vibe as he feels the need to comment on everything.
Is it animuses or animi? What do you think, Lucy? Lucy? What do they need with all of them?
Desmond, shut the fuck up.
You beat up some guards, and Lucy locks you up in a trunk and takes you to the assassin's secret headquarters. Damn, this bitch doesn't know how to drive. And here's where I think the plot might take a turn for the worse. Oh.
Thank you.
You get to meet the girl with the dragon tattoo and Wheatley from Portal. Wheatley already has a thumb stuck up his ass the very millisecond he makes eye contact with you. I cannot stress enough that this man has it out for you. He's like a shitty coworker that wants you to get fired.
What's all this stuff for?
This stuff, Desmond. Oh, this stuff is nothing special, really, this stuff. It's just the stuff that keeps our entire operation from falling apart, really. It requires a great deal of concentration to keep it all moving, so you'll forgive me if I...
Without wasting any more time, I hopped back into the Animus before I would have to deal with any more of this Boy Meets World fuckery. Here we are in 15th century Italy, where we meet one of Desmond's ancestors, Ezio, and he is 5,000 times cooler than Altair. It didn't take long to understand where the story wants me to start when getting to know this character. In his youth, Ezio is a carefree, talented troublemaker that makes up for his shenanigans by having a big heart and providing for his people. He also talks a lot of shit.
Yourself! Your sister seemed quite satisfied with the handling I gave her earlier.
Once you start playing as Ezio, the game gives you a series of fetch quests that help you quickly learn the basics, and I must say that this tutorial is not half bad. Compared to the first game, this tutorial is straight to the point and more entertaining. As you perform these quests, you learn about the society Ezio lives in.
He should suffer for what he's done. Wait here. I'll go have a word with him. What the fuck?
Your father sends you on one final mission, and when you do this task, something starts to feel wrong. By the time you get home, everything's gone to shit. Your father, locked away in prison due to some unordinary circumstances, comes up with a plan to get himself and your brother out. He asks you to go back to your home and find a secret room with a chest in it. You look in the chest and you find out that your father used to main Talon in League of Legends, so as a way of honoring his name, you decided to feed bot as well. You deliver a message to this guy, and the game practically screams, "Among Us World Champion."
A misunderstanding, Ezio. I'll clear everything up. The documents you've given me.
Oh my god. You attend your father's pardoning, which quickly turns into your father's execution as this fucking meatball of a human being convinces everyone in this entire town that your family is sus.
You are the traitor, Roberto, and one of them. You may take our lives this day, but we will have yours in return, I swear! We will!
So Ezio swears revenge, promising his mother, his sister, and himself that he will get to the bottom of this. Later, you find out that the bloody ectonut being spread all over the place are messages left behind by a tinfoil hat-wearing meth guzzler who refers to himself as Subject 16.
They call me Subject 16.
He somehow found a way to hack into the Animus and leave behind these symbols to help you figure out the greater mysteries behind the world's mythos, which usually involves influential historical figures using pieces of Eden to get what they want. These messages include getting into these mini-games, and each time you complete them, you unlock like 15 frames to a hidden cutscene that I suspect you won't be able to enjoy until the end of the game. These mini-games play out like a CAPTCHA to sign into an account you swore you knew the password to, and sometimes they are just as frustrating. Let's break away from that because I almost forgot to mention that the whole reason you're in the Animus at the Assassin's Creed headquarters is to use Ezio's memories to train Desmond into becoming an experienced assassin himself. You see, once you start reliving the memories of your ancestors in the Animus, you acquire some of those skills and muscle memory for yourself in real life. I don't know why they need Desmond of all people to be this experienced, but it wouldn't hurt to add more experienced assassins to their weak-ass 3-person army formed against the powers that be. Anyway, back to where we left off with Ezio. In an attempt to keep his mother and sister safe, he would escort them to various places. In each of these places, he would also meet people who would teach him skills like hiding bodies, blending into his environment, and using different assassination tools.
Do I know you from somewhere?
Don't you recognize me? It's me, Mario!
I felt that this was one of the crucial things that I was missing in Assassin's Creed 1. With the addition of these features, I feel as though I am a real assassin. Not only that, but the AI is a lot sharper. I honestly went into this game believing that it would be relatively easy to get away with anything. Yet I am pleasantly surprised to find that the AI's detection is quite reasonable. Of course they can't see through walls, neither should they be able to. They don't let you off scot-free after doing something right in front of them. This adds an incentive to use stealth during my run of this game, which is what anybody would want out of a game about assassins. I do, however, have one minor issue. In Assassin's Creed 1, you have roaming crackheads that like to shove you around for no fucking reason, and broke bitches following you around screaming to get some coin. I thought I would be able to escape all of that in this game, but I was wrong. You don't deserve this money. The developers also added tons of new elements, including a looting system, weapon and armor upgrades, more things to collect, races, etc. But my favorite thing that we got in Assassin's Creed 2 was the drip. Assassin's Creed 2 has improved on Assassin's Creed 1's parkour mechanics so well. In the last game, when I was jumping from rooftop to rooftop, it didn't feel as stimulating as it probably should have. One of the reasons for this was that the controls were clunky as hell, especially when you're climbing and dropping down from high places. For some reason, whenever I tried to move from one place to another efficiently, the character on the screen latches onto something random. But in this game, it feels like there's little holding me back. For many of those who have played this game, I can assume that this game's parkour mechanics was what they bought it for. If I waited for a few years for this game, I could say that this is exactly what I wanted. It's quite hypnotizing to watch Ezio quickly climb up Renaissance architecture, and it's super easy to get immersed this way. I don't necessarily think this game has fully fleshed out the idea of moving like a ninja, but this will have to do. Unfortunately, I didn't see any significant improvements with the combat, but this game does offer me a lot more choices. Ubisoft did make fighting the AI feel more satisfying. I'm not exactly sure whether it's the sound design, the animation, or the combination of both that makes it feel good. I'm glad I don't have to mash as much as I did in the last game, since the way they designed the surrounding areas makes it easy to slip away after assassinating someone, instead of launching me into another 1v5 for the 40th time. All I can say is that Ubisoft wanted to focus on taking everything that was in Assassin's Creed 1 and making it better, and that makes me happy, and more hopeful for all the future games I will be playing.
You would have done the same. To save the ones you
God. I had just finished Assassin's Creed 2, and look at what this game just did to me. This game is so fucking long, so relentlessly arduous to complete, and I loved every last minute of it. It's no wonder why Assassin's Creed 2 was everybody's favorite. I damn near almost 100%ed the bitch. What could have possibly done this, you may ask? Well, at first I thought I was playing Assassin's Creed. Then I realized I was actually playing Banjo-Kazooie. There are so many fucking collectibles in this game, and I just can't stop fucking collecting them. There are hundreds of chests left for you to open in all of the areas of the game. The secret ending involves you collecting 30 of these hidden codex pages as well. I've spent so many hours coming back to this game time and time again, focused on just completing the story and getting it over with, only to be sidetracked by a chest. And another. And another. Oh, look at this viewpoint. You can't miss these symbols. Long story short, I became so entranced with the idea of collecting everything I could get my grubby fucking fingers on that I ended up playing for practically 3.5 times the amount of time necessary to beat the first game.
Are you okay? Do you want to stop?
No, I need to go back, right now.
Every time you accomplish something, like 40 more things pop up on the map. And at some point I began to realize that Ubisoft specially designed this game to do this to you. They have managed to find a way to keep the player busy as the plot and missions progress. And the plot? Don't even get me started on the story, bro. I've been sitting here slurping this shit up like it's crack. So near the beginning of the game, your mother introduces you to a friendly neighborhood man that goes by the name of, oh, I don't know, Leonardo the fucking Vinci? And throughout the rest of the game, I could not help but fucking stand this dude. Not once, not twice, but a multitude of different situations that you find yourself in throughout the story would end with you going home with your balls shriveled up if it weren't for Da Vinci. Anyway, after you set out for revenge preceding your father's death, the story begins to pick up the pace as you travel from city to city, looking for clues that can help you find out who is behind all of this. Along the way, you meet all these different kinds of people, yada yada yada, and they each teach you something new. We've already been over this, but what I didn't expect was how many times this would happen. Even until the very end of the game, time keeps moving forward and you keep on learning new things. And because of all these new features that drastically can change the way that you play, the game can continually feel fresh and exciting. I got around to deciphering all of the symbols from Subject 16, and man does this shit get really weird. What the fuck? One thing that bothered me though was how frequently STDs were being passed around in this game. Need I remind you that this game takes place in the late 1400s. Condoms were invented in 1855, yet our main man Ezio has no issue throwing around his Italian sausage all across the Mediterranean. You see, you can't even complete a memory sequence in the entire game without Ezio getting some bitches. Even the gameplay involves you tossing a couple of pennies at a group of bad bitches and getting them to distract the enemy for you. Now listen, I'm not saying gamers can't get bitches, but I am saying that most people who would play this game wouldn't be able to get any hoes because they're too busy collecting every damn thing on the map. But there is one thing to make up for this fatal flaw in gaming, and that's gamer drip. You see, as I continue to collect and buy property in this game, you're still going out there working your cringe 9 to 5. I cannot resist buying all of the new weapons and armor that pops up throughout the story, but one thing certainly caught my eye. When you enter your Uncle Mario's mansion in the village you move your sister and mother to, he shows you his underground goon cave where he keeps all of his ancient assassin amiibos he frequently beats off to. And in the center is the rarest one of all, Altair. And he even comes with his armor. This armor has the best stats in the game, and you can unlock this by completing the optional quest of exploring all of the 6 hidden assassin temples. Some of these trials are easy, which doesn't demand anything more from you than simply beating these parkour courses they had laid out for you. But the other trials can be a bitch, some requiring you to solve puzzles and a couple of them designed around you chasing soldiers, which happen to be a part-time speedster mutant from a goddamn DC comic. Jesus Christ, are these bitches fast. So as you may know, I am a fucking king, and kings deserve only the best drip God has to offer. I made sure that nothing stands in my way to acquire drip passed down from the ones that came before to assert my dominant swagger that resonates over all the lands I reign. So I finally gathered all of the gargantuan nickels that you collect after completing each temple, and I felt like I gathered the fucking Dragon Balls. I have acquired Altair's Gucci chestplate, his Louis Vuitton pauldrons, his Balenciaga greaves, and his Rolex van braces. And as you've seen before, I got my Assassin's Fit custom designed by Christian Dior himself. I felt unstoppable with all this drip, but for some reason something felt off or missing.
You'll need a golden mask for entry.
What did you just say?
Golden mask.
Okay, listen up, bitch. We about to cop this golden mask so I can reign drip supreme. All I have to do is win all these easy ass competitions and they'll just hand the bitch over. Okay, contest 1. Slipping the most blueberries into unsuspecting women's back pockets so they can have a little snack for later. That shit was easy. I can see the haters talking from across the stage. Contest number 2. Forcefully stealing blueberries out of soldiers' pockets and bringing them back to home base. They really gotta make these challenges harder, bro. Bro, I can't stand this nigga. I'm gonna wind up single by the end of the night. Contest 3. Just beating up some niggas. Ow.
Looks like this one thinks himself some kind of campeon. Go on, Dante. Show him how sadly mistaken he is.
Bro, I swear to God, y'all.
Is there nobody else to challenge our man in the ring?
Alright, I've done all your challenges. Now this mask will rightfully... Hey, wait a fucking minute. What are you doing? I just destroyed that nigga. I will have my fucking revenge. Nobody gets between me and my gamer drip.
Looking for a good time, boy?
Yes. I finally have it! The final piece to my collection! With the swag of the gods, I may finally... You can only wear the mask for one mission and you can't ever wear it again. Well, as you can see, this game has a lot to unpack, and I can't make a short enough video to describe what 70 hours of straight up grind looks like. You basically kill a whole bunch of Templars, and one thing I was happy about is that they took those death speeches they have and actually make it sound like they're dying instead of pulling a Ligma joke to your face.
What have I done?
You even get to cause a massive uprising through the public's anger. And then the game throws multiple exposition drops at you in a row. First, you realize that after you decrypt all of Subject 16's symbols, you find out that Adam and Eve were actually super futuristic human beings from a hyper-technological civilization. I hate this. You yourself finally became the imposter in Among Us, and nobody suspected a thing. This is how you successfully steal the apple of Eden. After you collect all of the codex pages and rearrange them, you find out that it was a map that Altair made for the pieces of Eden, and that they also speak of this prophet that will utilize them for some grand mission. The big bad guy of the game became a pope and acquired possession of one of the other pieces of Eden, and you with your own piece of Eden would have a fucking Naruto style anime fight with this motherfucker. Ooh. Okay, bro. Which you would eventually lose because the pope just happens to be an Invisa nigga. Oh my god, you're lying. You follow him to an ancient civilization temple, and he spouts some nonsense like, this is where God is sleeping and I finna wake him up because I want to be a god too. And despite him having demigod-like powers, you beat him in a fist fight and you meet one of the gods? She explains to you, Desmond, not Ezio, but in front of Ezio, that you are the one, Desmond, who must utilize the pieces of Eden to stop the world from ending. I kinda hate this one too, not gonna lie. Then you go, what the fuck? and the credits start rolling. But while the credits roll, it turns out that the Templars finally managed to track your ass down, and then the worst thing fucking happened.
Mr. Miles, this is an unexpectedly pleasant turn of events.
No, please. So here I am fighting with these guards in what seems to be a modern era who refuses to use modern technology to kill me? Are you fucking kidding me? Batons? This was a terrible way to end such a good ass game. 0 out of 10. I love it. I think it still holds up today, but this fucking ending sucks. Oh my god, this is probably going to be the longest video I'll ever make, or I have ever made, who knows. There's tons of more Assassin's Creed games to be played, and I look forward to playing even more. Coming up next is one of my favorite games that I played in the past, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. So stay tuned, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and yeah. Alright, you know those games that say like, they make you come in like 5 minutes?